All right. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Bison, aka Bison Trades, over on Twitter. And welcome back to another episode of RareFUD Radio, episode number 44. And we have another killer interview lined up for you guys today. We had Mindfolk on Tuesday, talked with Ivan. It was fantastic. If you missed that episode, I highly encourage you to go check that out. Get your application in. I'm excited for Mindfolk, and the Renaissance sounds so good. But today we are talking about an upcoming mint as well, talking about the MotleyDAO, talking about Night Market with Ryan Kim. Super excited for his time. I'm excited for another marketplace. If you guys haven't seen some of our past episodes, look, we are Rare to FUD. That is the whole name of the show, but goodness gracious, can't stand Magic Eden right now. So any marketplace that comes in talks about governance, talks about open source, decentralization, kind of the whole ethos of Web3. You know you have my ear as well as the rest of the crew. Speaking of the rest of the crew, let's go ahead and bring on our wonderful co-host today, Dorian. How you doing today, Dorian? Can't hear you, Dorian.
Yo, 2 shows in a row, man. I'm getting good at this. What's going on, dog? Your boy's doing great. Every day is a holiday. Super excited to have MotleyDAO on. You said it perfectly earlier, man. Like, we're rare to FUD, but man, when we FUD, we go hard. And Magic Eden's deserving of every bit of it, dude. I'm making it my life's mission to support any decentralized marketplace that is going to be able to overthrow them. And right now, I'm bullish on Motley. Yeah. Full disclosure, I got 10 pre-sales, so I do love my bags. But anyway, I can't wait to get to talk to him.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I can't believe you're muted 2 shows in a row. Oh, that is priceless. You're starting to be like our boy Joe Soul over here. Joe, how you doing today, my man?
Yo, listen, man. Dora's trying to take my shine. Okay, this is my lane. I have the bad mic. I don't come to shows. I do that. Okay, that's my lane, Dora. No, I'm just kidding, man.
My bad, dog. I'm trying to encroach on your following, dude. My bad.
I love it, bro. Listen, gotta get it where you can, man. But no, super excited to hear about the MotleyDAO today. Super excited to hear about the night market, and I think we have a really cool one ahead of us today, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger, dude. We have the nice thing, and we talked about it a little bit, probably a couple months back on our shows, where we started looking at all the upcoming mints, and we said, it's actually kind of nice that, back in this time of last year, it was just minting absolute dog water, and you didn't know you just knew it was going to pump because it was mint and print season, but you had to like put your liquidity towards projects that had no good intentions or anything like that. Knew they were going to 2x plus, and now we kind of get to have more of an investor thesis on a lot of these projects where they're coming out with sustenance. It is top tier art, and we want to go the branding route, and this is actually how we are going to have a path towards it. We have top tier utility or top tier governance or anything like that, where we are trying to expand the ethos of Web3 in some way, shape, or form, whether it is in NFT-fi, DeFi, whether it is on marketplaces like we're seeing today, and it's refreshing. Sure, it may not go 2-3x right off the rip. In fact, we talk about it a lot. Most mints tend to dip down a little below mint, and then they just, if they have good foundations, they kind of rocket up from there. We see it with UGS, Wise Whales, and everything of that nature. And I think MotleyDAO is going to be an absolute game changer. So super excited for them. But before we get into Ryan's interview, let's talk a little bit about the market. Today, sitting at about 230K volume. I actually looked back at it on TXO. Actually, it's changed since then. We're at 205K volume. We are seeing volume slow down. We've been talking about this for a while. Marketplace fees coming back into play kind of slowed things down a little bit. The massive rip up of Solana have come at a great, a better time. I want to say a better time because I love Solana price going up. That's good for our bags, but also for NFTs, it's not really great because when you have volatility, a lot of people are turning their focus to the coin itself, the underlying asset, versus NFTs, which are basically a derivative on betting on the fact that the underlying asset is going to be stable rather than volatile. So I expect this to kind of have some churn. It's probably going to go down a little bit lower. We are seeing Haiti Swap have much more of a presence, sitting at 12% now. Magic Eden only has 67% market share. Back down low, and I think that's going to creep lower. Look, I don't know why they were expecting anything less. We said it back when Haiti Swap was really coming to prominence. when Magic Eden still had fees, like massive fees, and people were looking elsewhere for trading. AMMs are going to take the cake, and Haiti Swap was prime just because they have massive backing from a lot of big players in the industry. Guys, want to hit it over to you guys. Right now, Solana is sitting at about $22-ish. What are your takes on the market? Let's go with Joe first today, and then we'll head over to Dorian.
Yeah, guys. So market right now, we had the rip. Obviously, we had a CME gap to fill for Bitcoin, that we did fill. Everything was overextended. RSI was overextended on the daily. We had some coordinated FUD by macro. Obviously, we see some big money moving towards crypto, so they'll try to get as much from the retail consumer as possible. From a macro right now, man, Sol over $21. I'm not tripping out. Sol over 18.5. I see a lot of buy orders stacking up around that 18.5 to $19.05. So to be honest, I'm happy right now. I do realize that inevitable dump down to 18 will probably see a 30% pullback on NFTs. But if we range between 21 and 18, I think we can start seeing people start play with NFTs again in this little bit of a crab range. And it's a healthy crab range from 18 to 21, So I'm honestly happy where we are in the market right now. And I'm looking to kind of get positions of strength with my stables if we do see that pullback and a good bottom forming again as a higher low around 18.5 or so.
I agree. No, I actually have a buy order open in that range. I'm not going to say, not like you guys are going to front run me. Nobody watching this show is going to be a massive whale. If you are, great. Go ahead, front run me, baby. I don't care. I still got my spot sold packed. So you go ahead and buy that up. Yeah, pump it up. I don't care. Dor, what's going on with you? How are you feeling about the market, especially on the NFT side?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling overall good about the market. We had that not Russia FUD, but DOJ FUD yesterday that turned out to be a made-up exchange from Russia, so that crashed the markets. But it's fine. Like, Sol's still doing fairly well, in my opinion. It's not $8, so I'm still sitting over a 2x, so I'm happy about that. Also, on the NFT side of things, I feel like we might see a little pullback, especially if, like as Joe and you said, if things go down, Sol's price goes down to 18. But it's fine. I'm hoping that NFTs don't pull back much. And right now, I've just been accumulating projects that I'm pretty bullish on, prepping for this next cycle. And I think the next cycle will start once we get a couple weeks of that crab movement in the price of Sol. If it's ranging between 18 21, we'll probably see things begin to pick up on the NFT side of things. And projects that I've been primarily focused on for this next run in the NFT side is NFT-fi things like UGS, the marketplace, such as, surprisingly, Night Market and MotleyDAO. So super excited to have Ryan on today. Also, if I didn't discuss early enough, it's like I can't stand Magic Eden, dog. So like Ryan releasing this thing and coming out with it couldn't happen at a better time, man. It's like Magic Eden has grown way too greedy, man. I'm talking about a lot of you guys might not know, but they implemented these things called maker-taker fees. So anytime you list and sell an NFT, you get charged for listing it, which is a little bit absurd in my opinion. It just shows that as they try to expand the Polygon, their greed's only going to grow even more. So I think now more than ever is a time for a decentralized marketplace.
Agree. That leads us into a beautiful segue. Actually, real quick, I just want to make a point real quick that DOJ announcement was the biggest scam of all time. That was the most ridiculous thing. They made it International Crypto Enforcement Act coming soon at 12 p.m. Eastern. I was sitting there, I was like, what's going on? This? And also,
it's the buzzword too, enforcement. That's coordinated, right? And if you look at how it's America too against China and Russia, because America, we're going against crypto. Then you see Russia ease, and then China for China. They've banned it 1,000 times. They need those miners back that money. You're going to hear it. So it's just coordinated FUD, guys. Do not sell these. They want your crypto. They want your tokens. Be smart.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It was like Bitsolotto, which I don't know anybody who has heard of Bitsolotto before, and they're like, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. I saw a funny meme where it was like DEA enforcement, and they had that table in front of them, and the original picture had mounds of cocaine and weed and stuff. No, it was like, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. And it was just like a little $10 gas station bowl, and it was just like Bitsolotto, and I was dying laughing. But nonetheless, let's get into actual news today. Let's talk about MotleyDAO and Night Market. I am so curious to find out a little bit more and talk with Ryan. So let's go ahead and get him on stage. Ryan, it's great to have you on. How you doing today, my man?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh,
Great. Thanks for coming by.
Great. Doing great. Dude, there's so many questions I have for you. So this could not have come at a better time. We have been on the train of just this absurd. We knew fees were coming back and it was not really a big thing. Like, marketplaces, especially centralized marketplaces, have to make money. I get that. But it was just the manner in which they were introduced in Magic Eden. And so like Hades Swap, we knew that they were going to gain some volume back. And then lo and behold, like I knew about my night market because Saigo actually told me. He said that he met up with you over in Lisbon.
Yeah, I met Saigo at Breakpoint.
Yeah, and I was like, please, a good open source decentralized marketplace is exactly what we need. But I'm kind of skipping the gun first. Let's talk about you, Ryan. Let's talk about your background and your venture into crypto and to Web3.
Yeah, sounds great. So, my name is Ryan. I'm the founder of MotleyDAO and Night Market and a core contributor over at Motley Labs. And so, Night Market really has been over a year coming. And really, before I get too deep into that, like the way that I got onboarded to crypto and NFTs was really funny. Like probably like you guys, I was, in the 2016, 2017 bull run and then lost it all because I thought it was all going to go to a million, knew nothing really about it. Went on to do some Web2 jobs, graduated college, working on my own startups. I went to UC Santa Barbara for university. And while I was there, I actually connected with a mentor named Matthew Stotts. And Matthew, was an investor, big guy who had helped a lot of companies go public. And so stayed in touch with him. And then as he started to get into crypto, he started asking me to do a little bit of research on all these different projects. And eventually he told me that he was co-founding a company called Olaplex. And he was like, I want you to come lead BD here. And I had no idea of NFTs or crypto, hadn't really kept up with it at the time. But the opportunity to consult a little bit, I was there for about 3 weeks and I was like, this is really, really awesome. I'm in. And so I put my 2 weeks notice in, came over to Olaplex at the top of 2022. And yeah, it was leading BD over there. And then, in June of last year, there was just this opportunity to kind of spin out a lot of the technology that Olaplex had already built out. And then that kind of led me to start up Motley. And now, here we are, a DAO trying to build kind of a protocol of protocols across all the Solana ecosystem, this nucleus of talent, resources, technology, and build out, super applications on the Solana blockchain. And the first of which is Night Market, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah, absolutely. We are definitely interested in Night Market, but I want to talk about Motley. Okay. Let's talk about one. I want to know what kind of team size are we working with as the core nucleus of the Motley DAO, and what kind of roles do they play within it?
Yeah, so so this is actually a really good differentiation point. So the way that we look at Motley is Motley DAO is kind of the hub, right? The center DAO that is coordinating all these different functions. And then there's tons of different teams, whether they're decentralized or centralized, that are contributing to the efforts of Motley DAO and Night Market. And so I kind of sit in between both as we're getting this up, but I'm also sitting as the CEO of Motley Labs. And the relationship is very much similar to kind of how Solana Labs contributes to the Solana Foundation and their technology efforts. And so, yeah, in terms of Motley Labs, there are 4 of us. So we have myself, we have Josh, who is our COO operations product strategy lead. We have Matt, who leads our technical charge, and then our developer relations and developer lead. And then we have Omar, who is kind of our CTO type. And so on top of that, we also have some ecosystem growth BD guys as well. But those are like the core 4, I would say.
Gotcha. No, that's perfect. That's a really good point because there's a lot of interaction here, right? We got Motley Labs, then the Motley DAO, and then Night Market is going to be kind of like that first little leg of what you guys are building, all the apps that are building within Motley DAO. So this is super interesting. When it comes to Motley DAO, these are going to be the NFTs that are minted, right? I mean, what's going on with the NFTs that are being minted here soon?
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot going on. We're definitely not just, the standard PFP project. To summarize it, there's like a DAO, an NFT, a first product, a marketplace, and a token. So the way that the NFT and the token works, so MotleyDAO is the overarching entity that is governed by the sauce token, right? And one of the easiest ways to get access to sauce token is through our initial fundraise with the Motley Friends NFT collection. And so you stake the Motley Friends, you earn sauce. That sauce gets you into the DAO, if that makes sense.
Perfect. Okay, that
Yep.
was the interaction I was looking for as to like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm sure the NFTs you go ahead and stake, you get your sauce, and then you're
Mhm.
now in the Motley DAO. Is there is there a requirement or threshold of how much sauce you need to have in order to be a part of it?
Yeah, and that's definitely going to change as, as many things do with DAOs. It's going to be kind of a flexible effort as we go, seeing how many people are actually staking tokens, the average wallet size. And so that's honestly not the answer I have right now, but we're obviously going to want as many people to have governance as possible. So it's not going to be some absurd amount of sauce that you need to hold. And yeah, I mean the thing about Motley is I actually think, it's kind of the secret diamond that a lot of people haven't explored yet. They see us, hey, we're building a Magic Eden competitor. It's going to be community owned. That's awesome. I support it. But actually, the biggest thing that I think that Solana needs right now is a lot of coordination, right? And so there's so many different teams, and probably teams that you guys speak to on a day-to-day basis, that are often like working in these silos. And it's like, hey, we're going to build our messaging protocol. We're going to build our NFT utility. We're going to build staking, but they don't kind of like come up to the surface to realize that there's 17 different teams doing the exact same things. And it probably makes a lot more sense to kind of coordinate and drive value to like, a few different standards. And then we can have actual developer teams focus on, the big problems of actually bringing in more retail consumers with like relevant product experiences. And so for us, it's kind of like, I call Motley kind of Solana's largest group project ever, where we're working with all these messaging protocols, decentralized storage like Genesis Go, NFT utility like Cardinal, and we're trying to bring all that technology into one DAO, and then see actually, now that we have all these core primitives in, like what sort of interesting NFT-fi experiences can we build on top of this? And so that's kind of the story of how Night Market spun up. But as kind of, I've been using this term like as this nucleus of like talent, resources, and technology, this hub, like theoretically we can spin out dozens of products simultaneously through this like decentralized product studio model. And that's actually what I'm most excited about over the long run, this coordination system.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like I was hyper focused on the night market aspect of it, but the Motley DAO aspect of it, of bringing all these different organizations together to increase production of the Solana ecosystem is amazing. And the night market seems like it's one of the first products that the Motley DAO is going to release. What other products would like follow behind night market, and will they also be implementing the sauce token?
Yeah, so everything that we build is going to be, revolving around sauce as the governance body or as the currency of exchange. And so the way that we see it, there's a few verticals that we're looking at, right? We're already going to have a launch pad directly within Night Market, but looking at different like novel ways of launching projects, that's something we're working on. Working on, some, having initial conversations with the Solana Foundation on things like bounties and reputation management. There's also been this really big need for, not for us to build more products, but for us to be able to support the development of other projects. And so I see tons of new and existing teams when I go to the hacker houses who are like building really amazing stuff. But, it's not we've seen it, right? If you build it, they will not come. That's not necessarily true. And so a lot of like the smartest people I've ever met just need more exposure or more, resources of where to go, maybe funding. And so for us, kind of this decentralized venture studio model where we can sort of, through Motley, drive support, development resources, point people in the right direction. And then through Night Market, kind of take like an AppSumo or a Steam model where we can plug those teams into Night Market and drive distribution to them. We think it's kind of like a match made in heaven.
Dude, it is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love this aspect because one of the things I see so often, and a good example was we were just in a space talking with Jay Shep and Wolf Capital, and one of the questions were, one of the features they're going to have is, trait swapping and stuff like that. And they're like, well, are you going to build your own trait swap? Are you going to use Rain Protocol? He goes, well, we'll absolutely use somebody who's already been focused on this. Why would we waste our time to go ahead and build that? And I think having those relations, like Jay Shep's really good at it, and somebody like Motley Labs and MotleyDAO, especially, where you can kind of connect resources and shine light in a very meaningful manner rather than, you know, I don't want to call it like shillfluencers or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They shill mostly on the fact that this is going to make you rich, where you're like, no, this is actually a really good product market fit. And here's how you can apply it and use it. And I think that's going to be such a good way for us to, I think there's a lot of people competing for a small piece of pie when we should be
Yep.
focusing on just racing the critical mass of user adoption.
100%.
And then that's when the pie is so large that everybody can have their own slice and we will be funded for forever. So I love this. This is such a needed aspect within not just Solana, but across a lot of ecosystems and chains and Web3. So
I agree. And to interject, I'm sorry, but I don't have
You
my
good,
camera,
dog.
so it's hard for me to pop in here. But we don't have a decentralized LinkedIn, essentially, right? We don't have ability to network and to have like an instantaneous connection or ability to reach out and bounce ideas. So like this little nuance alone, what this brings as a net positive to this space is huge. And Bison, I'm so sorry to cut you off again, my brother.
You're good. No,
You're
that's
good,
I mean,
man. I'm glad you jumped in.
Yeah, we want you to, Joe. No, Ryan, I love this. I think it's really good that you're bringing night market as kind of like the first proof of work almost concept, but you're like, hey, it doesn't just stop there. You know, this is just kind of showing the power of the MotleyDAO, what we can achieve with open source code and collaboration that we need on the chain. So, I have a ton of questions. I don't even know where I want to start with them, but let's talk about the NFTs itself. Let's talk about, do you have a mint date in mind? When are we planning on minting, and how big is the collection size?
Yeah, so Motley Friends is a 10K collection, kind of representing all the builders, collectors, rebels on Solana. It was actually designed in help with Concept Art House or Concept Labs. They just rebranded. They're one of the biggest, most successful Web3 studios in the world. They did like the Geno Pets NFTs, the Cascade NFTs, the NFL and NBA all day. And so, you know, the purpose of Motley Friends, more than just kind of an NFT collection for fundraising purposes, we could have just put out a pass, right? But we really wanted to have like this diverse collection to really show kind of the future of what we wanted for Solana, and also have this brand live on its own. And so the idea that this brand, you know, could on its own be its own collection that is just, you know, kind of more like a DGods collection or an OK Bears, like we could have also gone that route, but the NFT is also still tied to the sauce token. And so we think that it's a nice little mix between, you know, brand, utility, and PFP project. And the mint date is not determined just yet. We do have pre-sale going on right now. It's a 10K collection, and we sold out approximately 30% of it already. And so, you know, once we get to public mint, I'm really excited by, you know, kind of the growth of our community recently. And so just to give you guys the schedule, so we're launching Night Market in early Q1 2023, like super soon. And then, you know, the big exciting reveal of Night Market also just continues to follow up with big news where, you know, in this promotional period, we're probably going to launch Motley Friends. And then after this promotional period, that's going to be what we're currently calling the Night Drop. And the Night Drop's going to be this massive booster pack airdrop of Sauce, Motley Friends. It's kind of going to be this gamified launch of the DAO where, you know, different people are going to be opening up their booster packs, seeing how much sauce they got, seeing if they got any, you know, super rare, you know, DGen Trash Pandas because we're using Raindrops protocol, maybe like a blue chip like SMB or MonkeyDAO. So yeah, I'm imagining like almost, you know, the playfulness of like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh opening up those cards when you were a kid, but also kind of like, you know, this interesting financial dynamic where it's almost like an ETF of all of Solana's you know, best partners and technology that we have, and they're getting like an exposure of that through the booster packs, and you earn those booster packs for using Night Market. So I know that was a lot, but that's kind of the timeline that I'm envisioning in my head.
Dude,
okay. Dude, I'm super excited, man.
There's a lot to unpack there. No, this makes me excited. First off, I want to just applaud you on, I've been like screaming from the high heavens that like card openings and pack openings should be more of a thing, and I don't know why they aren't. Because dude, we all, most of us, the target demographic right now for Web3 is, you know, like 18 to 34, right? I would say that's pretty much your primary, usually male. We're trying to be better about inclusiveness for females too, and we hope that they come over because they've given us a lot of edge here. But we all opened up cards growing up. Like that was my favorite thing in the world, was opening up Pokemon cards.
Yep.
That new card smell, dog, it gets me even today.
And well, it's one of the things we lost too when it comes to mints, because you know, we have pre-reveal now, and so when you mint, you don't immediately get that satisfaction anymore of when you mint. You don't just magically see the thing appear in front of your face and you're like, that's sick, or oh man, that's not as sick as I wanted it to be, let me go ahead and mint again. And we don't get that experience anymore. So any sort of card opening or pack openings just brings back, like, I mean, even Hearthstone recently, you know, like I played a lot of Hearthstone back in 2017 onwards, but yeah, it's just a feeling that that's what you want in NFTs, especially on the collectible side. So first off, props to you. It sounds like you have a lot of amazing projects and thought processes in mind. I guess my big thing is, like, how do we find all the talent in order to get there? Like, if you are going out to reach out to another team, let's say like the Dialect team, for instance, right? And you're like, hey, we want some contribution of your tech or anything like that. How hard is it to get them to cooperate with you while they're also working on their project, and still make meaningful contributions to whatever you're building?
Yeah, so surprisingly enough, it's actually, you know, my goal is not to get teams to do things that are kind of out of their comfort zone or out of their roadmap, you know, kind of steering away from what they're already doing. It's kind of like Dialect, you're launching mobile, you're going to be big on Saga, you have your own, you're trying to be kind of like iMessage, right? Like, how do we incorporate that into Night Market or into the Motley stack? And so in that sense, I think it's a very mutually beneficial relationship, because while they're doing that and they might put in some work, we might put in some work, we're getting new features, but we're also driving more adoption of Dialect, right? And so I think in that sense, it's not too difficult. A lot of teams have made really good documentation. So it's like, oftentimes it's, you know, we take the API ourselves and we're able to integrate it. And so surprisingly not too much on that end. I think the more involved, like a lot of these products are, you know, features or protocols that just immediately make sense. Like, you want notifications, use Notify. That's easy for us to just plug into Night Market. And then some of the more like critical focus comes when it's like talking to teams like Jupiter or talking to teams like Cardinal, and like, there might not be a specific fit from your features to our product right now, or maybe there is, but what is bigger, right? Like, how do we think like 3 to 6 months down the line? How do we like combine like NFTs and DeFi trading into one platform? That's where I get super juiced, because it's like, these teams are all so smart, and oftentimes much smarter than me, right? I'm not necessarily a technical person. And so just being able to coordinate those bodies and those teams to be like, everyone sees the value in this, let's do this together. That's kind of what I'm most excited about.
Yes. I love bridging people to meaningful developments in like a friendly collaborative effort, you know, like that is oh dude, okay. I will try to remove bullish bias right now, and let's get on with the interview.
No,
Yeah,
I
you
need
guys
to
are
keep
called
my bag
RareFUD.
bias
Come on
aside.
now.
I know. Well, we are called RareFUD because we are rare to FUD, but
Yes.
yeah, I try not to be super bullish and maintain neutrality. So let's
Good.
talk a little bit about you know, so you have your timeline, and timeline sounds good. It sounds like you want to focus on one thing at a time, and then eventually we can kind of expand as we expand ourselves, as MotleyDAO, you know, expands with sauce and governance. Let's talk a little bit about governance first before we get into Night Market. So with sauce, what is your end goal when it comes, like, a lot of people say they have governance, right? Like, oh, we're going to have, is it going to be on chain? Is it going to be a Discord server? Because we see, like, you know, a lot of people will vote through Discord. How is governance going to be achieved within MotleyDAO?
So governance is, we took a lot of reference, you know, and I do want to say, like, this is a starting point for governance, and, you know, a year from now, it could be completely different if the DAO votes it so. But the way that we're doing it is a mix between kind of like how MonkeyDAO, Orca, and a lot of other DAOs on Ethereum have taken it with council tokens. And so it's going to be a 4-stage process, and I'll try to be like as TLDR about this as possible. So the first stage is just members of the DAO. And so that's people who are staking a minimum amount of sauce token. So they'll be able to participate in our forum, might be on chain through Dispatch or through like a Web2 service like Discourse, but you can only access that if you're a DAO member. And then from there, it'll be kind of a very easy, like, soft proposal. Like, if it's getting warm, you know, warm support through, let's say, like, 3% of the DAO votes on it and it got, more upvotes than downvotes, it'll move towards the council process. And so the council is some of our early investors as well, this stage 2. So council is some of our early investors, supporters, like Soul Big Brain, Frank from Genesis Go, Olaplex, etc., as well as myself, our COO, and then a few elected members actually as well. And so this council will look like anywhere from like 11 to 13, 15 people. This council will then review these proposals that have kind of made it up to that stage through any sort of feasibility. Does this make sense? Is this strategic? Is this good for the DAO? Cool, let's vote on it. And then it'll make it from stage 2 to stage 3. Stage 3 is a formal vote of everyone who is staking sauce token. And so, based on, how extreme the proposal is, or is it a smart contract change? Is it just, hey, we need to spend $500 on something? Like that will depend on like the quorum of the vote. And then if that proposal passes from there, it's going to go to implementation stage. And so that implementation stage by default right now is probably going to fall to Motley Labs. And our goal will be to either find a sub DAO or a partner or find a partner to execute the proposal, establish a sub DAO to execute the proposal, right? If it's a marketing thing, makes sense for us to set up a marketing proposal or marketing sub DAO. And if not, then we'll execute the proposal ourselves. But the default, the way that we get there is very decentralized in the sense that like the community at the end of the day has the final say. I will say that straight up, I do think that, delegation of responsibility is super important for DAOs, like short term and long term, because people are busy, right? Like you guys have a podcast to run, you guys all have different positions at different companies. I can't expect you guys to do all the work of like reading every proposal and contributing. And so I think delegation of some of those responsibilities is super important. Like, for example, if we were to have, a marketing sub DAO, right? It's not, the 10,000 holders responsibility to vote on whether Dorian and Bison can spend on a marketing campaign, right? It's kind of the marketing sub DAO's, call, because they are, industry leaders in marketing, right? Same thing with BD, same thing with tech. I think it's kind of like, it's coordination of different groups and trust and delegation of responsibility with the maintaining of like open source, understanding that like, hey, everyone can kind of trust each other because all of our incentives are aligned and we can see what each other is doing. That's kind of the end goal. It's not that I have a million people voting on every cup of coffee I want to spend on or whatever it might be, because that leads to nothing getting done.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, like everything you've been talking about, man, I'm super excited, man. I'm super bullish on you and what you're building with Motley Labs and Night Market. I do have a couple questions though, because what really drew me, like I'm glad you provided more context about what MotleyDAO's about, but what initially drew me to your project is not only who was backing you through the VCs, your experience, but the fact that you were like launching a marketplace at the perfect time. Like you couldn't have asked for, in my opinion, a better time to launch a marketplace than now, because all the shenanigans that Magic Eden has done recently. However, we have seen projects attempt to launch marketplaces in the past and haven't been successful. What are you going to do to try to incentivize users to come utilize the Night Market? What are some of the features within Night Market that'll set you apart from other marketplaces out there? And also, I forgot my last part of that question, but yes, we can go with those first.
Okay. Cool. So first part is just how do we differentiate from Magic Eden or other marketplaces?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the big thing that we've realized is that you can't compete on features in this space. Like I could dangle like the coolest marketplace experience ever, but people won't care about it because, there's already an existing market leader and there's probably if I'm not giving them any sort of incentive to try it out. And so for us, the sauce token is a huge part of kind of how we draw people in. Basically the easiest thing I could say is for traders, for degens, for enthusiasts, you're going to be able to earn sauce and soul for every transaction that you make on Night Market. And so, for example, for the first period, let's say, don't have a specific timeline, but let's say for the first 30 to 45 days of Night Market launching, every trader on Night Market is going to be eligible for the sauce airdrop, or what we're calling the Night Drop. And so, and Night Market is 100% all transaction fees go to the DAO treasury. And so kind of as you see this snowball effect happening, it's like, hey, you see more users on Night Market, you see more transaction fees. Oh, wow, I can earn some of those like governance over those fees. if I get sauce token. How do I get sauce token? Through trading on night market. So I think that that's one viral loop that will be a heavy marketing and communications push. And then on top of that, how do we get those listings? How do we get people to even try, and how do we get the word out there? So that's through something we're doing with a great team called Ladder Labs. It's called BuddyLink, or like simplify. It's a affiliate on-chain affiliate program. And so how that's going to work is basically someone like you guys, right? I could give RareFUD a nightmarket.io/RareFUD referral link, and then you guys could put it on your website, on your podcast, and you will be eligible for up to 100% of transaction fees from all the users that come into night market from the start. And so that's never been done before.
Awesome.
Yeah. So basically the way that works is, let's say like RareFUD puts out, the night market referral link. I click into it and Bison clicks into it. I sell a DGOD on night market and, clicked in through RareFUD. If that DGOD sells, 50% of the transaction fee for this promotional period is going to go to RareFUD. Let's say Bison, who also clicked into RareFUD, was the other end of that trade. He was the one who bought it. That means that RareFUD has located both the buyer and the seller. So in the beginning, you're going to be getting 100% of that transaction fee. And so we think that that's a really interesting opportunity, for the people who really value the DAO and want exposure. They're going to purchase Motley Friends, trade on night market to support, maybe contribute technology. And then, on the marketing side, like there's so much, you kind of, for all the controversiality and the bad things that FTX and Binance may have done. The thing is, like, they did really well with their referral programs, and we haven't seen that done well on Solana. And so I think that the opportunity to kind of, offer people, affiliate links and then have them generate their own content. We're already seeing people making like memes of my PFP and like all these different like stickers and stuff. Imagine when you actually give them the opportunity to be an owner in the marketplace. I think we're going to see a huge explosion in the type of user generated content that comes out. And I'm just really excited for that, right? Like, people like you guys might want to put out a referral link for night market on your podcast. People might be talking about it over tweets. It's talking with some really big names in the space, and they're super interested in having that. And so, we want night market to be the loudest thing in the room when it drops. And that's kind of how you draw liquidity away. And eventually, hopefully like liquidity is not the reason, because a lot of people are like, oh, there's so much volume on Magic Eden, but that is not really a moat in any sense. And people are super fickle, especially in Web3. And we want to build like a marketplace that people can be loyal to, because we support them. So we hope that they would support us. And so,
dude,
that's a little bit.
That was like perfect. Like, dude, the more I talk to you, the more bullish I get. I'm already got like 10 pre-sales. I'm about to buy like 10 more if you keep it up. But so I love the referral link idea. And I love your point about like liquidity, people using Magic Eden because of the liquidity there. But it's like people are against Magic Eden because they haven't done anything to provide value back to the holders. People understand that marketplaces need to make revenue. Nobody's complaining that Magic Eden turned back on fees. Well, we always knew that would happen, but the manner in that they did it and the amount of fees and how they're implementing those fees is the major issue. It's like, yo, what are you doing for the people that literally carried you to the top of this ecosystem? Absolutely nothing. So that's why I think the way their incentive structure that you've provided for night market is extremely bullish, and I'm looking forward to it. I do have a question about the potential competitors out there. AMMs, Hate Swap, they gained like 30% of the 24-hour daily volume yesterday. How are you going to be competing against AMMs like Elixir and Hate Swap, or is there some way or potential integration that you're going to have with them in the night market?
Yeah, as of right now, I actually don't view. I know both of those teams super well. We're actually scoping out integrating Hades Swap and Elixir listings into night market directly, because that helps us, able to display those listings, being able to drive transaction volume on night market, and also helps them because it's another interface for them to display their listings on. I think the AMM race is really interesting right now. I think there's still some tweaks to it, and I think the majority of Solana NFT traders are not very comfortable with like DeFi, LPing with their AMMs. And so that's going to take a learning lesson. But I think night market, we actually work really well with other marketplaces who want to integrate. And long term, I think there's some really interesting opportunities to work like directly with AMMs and teams like Jupiter and GoatSwap as well. But yeah, not really competitive as of right now.
Okay.
Like I talked to HE and some of the team over at Elixir as well. So yeah, all good here.
Awesome. Love to hear that, man. Sorry for like taking over the stand there, Bison. You
All
can
good.
have the mic back,
I'll
dog.
I'll
Yeah.
also say we're also interested, like if Magic Eden wants to open source some stuff and work with us in like an aggregation sense, we're also happy to like entertain that conversation. It's not us versus Magic Eden in any sense of the word. It's like it's much bigger than that, kind of what Bison was saying. Like we're trying to grow the pie long term. And so yeah, that's an open invitation to any development team or NFT related team that wants to work with us.
That's it though. That's the Web3 ethos is like we right now, especially in like our infancy, and even though crypto's been around for a while, at how we interact in what we call Web3 is like it's still so small and nascent, and everybody thinks it
Yeah.
is just like farm animal pictures, and that's all Web3 is with NFTs, and it's so much more. And I love that. Like it's about like collaboration, man. So no, I think
So
those
what
are
it's all about, right? Yeah.
yeah. Well, right now, especially like, what good is it going at each other's throat if we're fighting over, a town the size of 100 people? Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather go to war when we're, continents versus each other. That's at least then we can say like, hey, we established our provenance here. Like it doesn't make any sense to me that we're fighting over small pie right now, and we can definitely grow it. So,
Yeah.
no,
You guys get it.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to like once you start seeing money come in, especially like we're in a capitalistic society for the most part. Like I would say most countries are at least. You start seeing money come in, that business. The first thing you got to do is make money, and so a lot of people don't realize that, especially in entrepreneurship, you have to get to critical mass first before you can really like start making the serious money, the money that's actually going to keep your doors open. So, no, that is, dude, I love it so much. Real quick before we go on night market even more, I want to dig deep into this, but talking about MotleyDAO, one of the questions I wanted to ask was when I become a member of MotleyDAO, right? How do I elect myself into the marketing sub DAO versus like somehow I end up in the tech sub DAO, right? And like I'm not a technically able person. I know like if then statements and object oriented program, like that's about as much as I know. Outside of that, people can code circles around me. How do I not end up in those sub DAOs that I don't belong to?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a self-selecting process, right? Once you become a member by staking a certain amount of sauce, like we're gonna need onboarding experts. We're gonna need like probably some level of like human resources. We're gonna need like recruiting and people to help like onboard people into the right organizations. I think as of right now, it's kind of like let's open up the DAO in general, and let's see. We have this mental framework and this proposition of how we think it might work, but then people kind of self-select themselves and volunteer and open up these groups. And so I'm not I'm not necessarily like a corporate organization expert or HR or recruiting in that sense. And so I think we're looking for more experts to kind of help out with like categorizing and coordinating people within the DAO. But that's a really interesting problem and opportunity that I think we're excited to solve.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it is, I guess it also, I mean, you can always go self-select route. And then like if they aren't fulfilling, if they're going like contra opinion too much, if they're not contributing anything significant to the sub DAO, then I guess that's when you could have like quorum to vote them out, and it'd be like no hard feelings, but you're not a marketer, right? You're not a developer, you're
Yeah.
not like a network engineer or something like that, right?
Hmm.
And it's just like you don't belong here. Let's find you another sub DAO to get you in. I guess
Yeah.
that's always, dude, DAO structure is just so interesting to me, and how you can
Hmm.
meaningfully achieve it. Because it was just such a meme for such a long time, especially in Solana, where
Yeah.
outside of when Monkey DAO was actually formed in NFTs, it was like, oh, join our DAO, and it's like a Twitter group chat or a Discord, and we say that all the
Hmm.
time. Like, dude, please stop making DAO a meme. Like DAOs are actually going to be revolutionary if we can actually nail the governance and everything right. So,
Yeah.
um,
Agree. Yeah. And
it's so
it's not like, we can't, it's not like we're doing this necessarily. Even like Motley is not the first DAO in existence by any stretch of the imagination, right? But you actually can look towards the future of like Ethereum is just an older blockchain community, right? And you see kind of where the permutation of DAOs has led, right? You have really cool social DAOs like Friends with Benefits. You have really, protocol, technology focused DAOs like Uniswap DAO, right? And then all the DeFi, Curve DAO, like with their V curve mechanisms. There's a lot of things that we can learn from here on Solana. And the DAO technology, like Realms, is getting better and better. And so, yeah, I think the interesting thing is, like, there's a lot of people like that get turned off by the idea of DAOs. They're like, oh, it's just a Discord server. It gets really messy inside. But the concept of DAOs is actually really beautiful, right? Like, you can permissionlessly plug in and work with anyone across the world who is probably someone that you would have never met otherwise, but you guys are coming together to work together on this aligned vision of what you have, which for all intents and purposes, 7 months ago, Motley was just an idea on the napkin, right? And then this weekend I put out, kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about our community. And so I just put out a simple Google sheet with a few questions asking, like, how do you want to contribute? Tell us about yourselves. We have 100 applications from like across the world right now of people who just like saw Motley, saw Night Market, and it's not degens, these are like, hey, I have a media company in New Zealand, would love to help out, or hey, like I have X product experience and have exited multiple times in Web 2. It's like, wow, these are real people that I would have never found across the world, but they align with some idea of Night Market or Motley or the Sauce token, or they just really like the art. That is super, super duper cool to me. And that's like energy that can actually be catalyzed now through the idea of DAOs, right? Like, that's the formal structure that you can actually coordinate these people through. And I think we're just barely on the cusp of like experimentation on Solana with that.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think once we expand on that, that's when, like, oh, dude, I just see so much adoption happening, and I think it's going to be excellent. So, let's talk about Night Market. So we talked about the referral code, which honestly, you hit the nail on the head, because I know so many people, especially like back when leverage trading was huge, especially peak 2017, peak 2021, 2022. Where these people, like some of the best influencers, some of the best like YouTube stars or whatever that have millions of subscribers, were making millions like per month. Like, it was insane how much they were making off Bybit referral codes or something. But it also grew the Bybit platform. So there was like synchronicity right there, right? Like, it was mutually beneficial for both parties. And then the person got introduced to a great product, or, degen longed way too much and ended up losing all the money. That's on them. I can't make you trade. So that's a really good set apart factor, because I don't know really any NFT marketplace that does that. I mean, I'm trying to think in my head, like even on ETH, OpenSea certainly doesn't do it. They move at the speed of molasses.
I think Foundation does it, but I think it's like specific to a certain certain art piece, right? So it's like, hey, I refer my friend to buy this or bid on this. But yeah, mass scale, like, it hasn't really been done before, and I think we're in like a really good position to do that, and it's coming out soon. So like I a lot of history of teams like front running features, but I think getting it out into the world, like, there's no need to hide that. And so and then another cool thing about Night Market is, like, when you think about the overall product experience with different NFT marketplaces, it's very transactional, right? And it's very like, hey, I'm going to buy an NFT, I'm going to mint an NFT, I'm going to sell an NFT. And while those are like core functions of like the commerce layer that we do want to facilitate, there's also a lot more to NFT culture than it meets the eye with like DeFi trading, right? Like, you're not just trading JPEG around, you're participating in forums, you're staking your NFTs to earn more, you're maybe leveraging those NFTs. It's not just a mint, buy, sell rotation. And so for us, like, we could build all that ourselves, or we could work with all the partners that we know that are doing super good, cool stuff in those verticals and bring it all into one interface. And so the idea that we're kind of like building out this all-in-one solution for anything that anyone wants to do with NFT related activity, I think that starts to expand people's mindset and also the potential of what Night Market can be, right? And so like NFT trading, minting, staking, like token gated forums, like all of that can be incorporated into Night Market in really interesting ways. And we have like 15 different integration partners that are trying to do just that, right? Talking to Sharky about getting their loan protocol. And so as long as we can get really, continue to be really good at the design part and making sure that this is like a relevant, not too hectic, beautiful user experience for consumers, they're basically going to be adopting open source technology without even knowing it, right? Because our marketplace is going to be open source. A lot of these partners that we're working with are open source. And so it's just about translating all this into relevant user experiences that people are also incentivized to support. I know a lot of that is not like quantitative data. It's more like qualitative stuff that I'm talking about. But this is what I think needs to happen, right? It's like people, my mom, your uncle, these people need to understand from like 5 seconds, why would I use this marketplace, right? And so we haven't even gotten there yet. Like Magic Eden's still like, why would I even buy an NFT? And so it's going to be a mix of like bringing all the technology and all these partners that we have up to the surface in like a relevant user experience that makes sense. And it's like something that you guys would be delighted to use,
Right.
So, dude, I love the fact that you continuously hit on the point about integrating these other existing protocols into night market and utilizing them, because there's no point in like why go and create a night market AMM if there's something already out there that does it well, especially hate swap, because it's decentralized. Is this potential integration going to be where it doesn't take you directly to their page, but has like a night market UI or UX that you can just easily interact within the site? Because I think one thing that can become confusing and overwhelming is like, oh, you want to take a loan. Even if you have a link for Sharkify, you go to Sharkify's platform, which can be confusing instead of like a one-stop shop.
Yeah, it's all like, I envision it that it's all, as we configure these things out, all going to be within night market.
That's awesome.
Like different launch pads might be able to host their launchpad containers within night market, right? But turning this into like, a really clean UI that's all in one, can be mobile, can be XNFT'd, into Saga's mobile stack. Like that's where we really get interesting. And this might be a little bit like too out there for the purpose of this call, but I do want to address like night market is also open source. And so people could look at night market and what we're building and say, oh man, like I would really love if this feature was in there. I would really love if we did something like this. Developers can, from anywhere across the world, submit a PR, and we say, hey, that's a really great idea. Glad you did that. Bring that in to the tech stack, and boom, like issue sauce token. Thanks for contributing, right? And so that's the benefit of like, early stage, like you need to be coordinated and you need like centralized teams to like push things forward. But as the vision gets big enough, it kind of becomes this unstoppable force where, Ethereum, open source value network, right? Anyone can fork Ethereum and try to build their own Ethereum, but they're not going to be able to, not because they don't have tech chops, but because the network is too large and the momentum of Ethereum is too big to be stopped, right? Like us four couldn't fork Ethereum and say, hey guys, new Ethereum over here, because people will be like, why would I do that, right? And so, you're seeing that same thing with Solana right now as well. The network and the developer ecosystem is getting so large. And so when you translate that to like a DAO, right? Like the DAO, you could try to do everything that Motley's doing, but you're not going to be able to fork the relationships, the community, kind of the ethos of what we have and replicate that overnight. And so that's why we feel really comfortable about opening up night market open source and bringing people in. And if they have cool ideas of forking night market to be like, I want to build a gaming marketplace, better on you, right? Like we want to give you a foundation to start that off and potentially even support you through our like decentralized product studio model. Or if not, if you just want to do your own thing, the code is still there. You can fork it and take it to do whatever you want. And that's our contribution to helping push forward the developer ecosystem. And so, I think that was a lot, but had to be said.
No, I'm sitting over here. I see you have ear pods in, so I'm not gonna like yell at the top of my lungs saying yes. I don't want your ears to bleed, but dude, I cannot stress enough. Like you hit everything that I wanted to. So I guess my big question would be when somebody takes the PR, who approves it? Is that not a night market sub DAO or something like that they would all collaborate and be like, yeah, do we approve? Do we have a certain quorum met in order to implement this change? And then, we approve and then we disperse the sauce. Like, how is that interaction going to work?
Yeah, so I think sooner than later, that's definitely going to be like an on-chain submission. But for now, it's obviously going to have to like go through Motley Labs, make sure that like, our team, if the DAO selects, and continues to vote for Motley to kind of maintain that, then we'll have like our own trusted team do so. But again, that's something that's all going to be fully transparent, no matter who takes that action. But I think it is really cool. You see kind of these opportunities for like, there's 15 different developers or developer teams that all have a stake in Motley. They've all staked sauce token, and for example, all the smart contract changes kind of get reviewed by them. But one developer, the likelihood that one team would go rogue is very unlikely, because A, they have a bunch of sauce staked, and B, they're going to get slashed from the network. And so kind of like how validators work, we see that interaction like very similar to some of these sub DAOs that can work, right? Like if you want to be a leader and have a stake in Motley, like, we want to tie you to kind of like the best interests of the organization. And so you should probably have some sort of financial or reputation stake on the line, because we want the people contributing to the sub DAO to be as aligned with the greater organization as possible.
Yes. Okay. Great. Sorry, I'm just approving my transaction to get 10 of these pre-sales.
Yeah, dog. I'm buying 2 more.
I'm okay, cool. I'm locked up now. I already have a whitelist too. I cannot remember. I think I got it from Hyperspace maybe, but no,
nice.
I was as soon as I saw one, you obviously get more bullish when you get whitelist, but I was already there. The changes are just so good. Okay. There's a couple of other questions. So let's talk a little bit about investors, because I think, talking about your backing and everything like that is important. Like a lot of people want to hear that you do have Big Brain on board, right? Like Big Brain is Papa Solana over here, just spreading salami around. But there's a lot of other interesting backers. So can you kind of go through the list and like, how were those interactions? Did you just like reach out via DM and say like, this is what we're building? Or did they like come to you and say, dude, what you were building over with MotleyDAO and Night Market and everything is incredible. Like, please take all our money.
Yeah, it was honestly a little bit of both. And so this was my first time raising a VC round in Web3. And we were raising, the market was still a little bit low. This was around June or July. But we inherited a few of the investors on the cap table from Olaplex, like Solana Ventures and Coin Fund. But then I also raised my own round for, working with, actual investors who were like very familiar with Motley and Night Market, and like the interactions of that. And so, I think the first person I reached out to was my buddy Sam from Zebek. And so Sam from Zebek, I think, I came to him basically on a phone call, and he was so excited about it. Like within 15 minutes, he was like, yes. Right. And then he was like, hey, these are some of the other people that we should bring on. And that was like Chris from Mirror World. Got to talk to Soul Big Brain. He was super excited. Frank from Genesis Go. All of these conversations happened really naturally, but it was very much like me reaching out first. And then I think one thing that was really interesting that might not be relevant today, because the VC fundraising market is kind of in shambles. It's changed a lot after FTX. Is that like during that time, it was like the more kind of underground grassroots approach started to spread, and it was like, hey guys, you should hear what Motley's doing. You should hear about Night Market, and like other investors or friends would kind of introduce. And then we were able to close around in about a month or two. Brought in kind of some angels or like some smaller checks from like Cadence, Gaius, Soft Money, the Boogles. But yeah, I mean overall, like Night Market, it's been like, yeah, I've tried to scream it from the rooftops. And so it was very much an investment opportunity that was kind of accessible to anyone at the time, but it was not nearly as well fleshed out at the time 6 months ago as it is now. And we're getting close to launching market. So, all those guys and all those investors took a lot of faith in us and what we're trying to do.
How exciting, dude. You're right there. Like it's almost here.
Yeah. So, the execution part's the most important, right? But gotta hope that the community and everyone listening, decides to give it a shot, embraces what we're doing here. And yeah, what's to come.
Yeah, Bison, I know you mentioned all those big names that were working on the team, and like, wow, this one's kind of under a radar. And I know you mentioned the Discord that he's not directly on the team, but Nam is also helping out. So as far as I know, unless that's changed, you could correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. So I was in the Discord and I saw Nam's name pop up. I'm like, Say what? All right, I'm in the right place.
Yeah. Nam is obviously like one of the biggest figures on Solana. He's just a great guy. Shout out to him.
Mhm.
Congrats on him becoming the new CEO of MonkeyDAO, by the way. That just happened this week. But yeah, Nam has been kind of like a contributor from the beginning and like helping me understand like governance and pointing me towards resources, helping introduce to really cool teams. And still helping on the side, although obviously he's super busy with being the CEO of MonkeyDAO now, as he has basically been the core contributor for like over a year. But yeah, he's obviously been helping like especially during those formative phases. And I look to MonkeyDAO as kind of one of the more functional DAOs on Solana, and so I was definitely taking a lot of notes on their docs. I'm a Monkey holder as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Dude,
Hey, let's go MonkeyDAO.
Okay, we're closing in on our hour. Actually, I think we're a little over. I don't even care because I could go on for another 2 hours with
same,
Ryan
dog.
if I
Yeah, me
wanted to,
too.
but, let's talk a little bit about let's talk about initial fee structure. Obviously, this could be subject to change, right? I mean, like this is going to be a fluctuating marketplace where there's going to be ebbs and flows. We'll find equilibrium. That's the beauty of open source marketplace. But what are we thinking of initially starting out with? Is obviously it's hard to enforce creator royalties, but is that going to be in the plans, or like how is that all going to work out?
Yeah. So on the contrary, it's actually not hard to enforce creator royalties because we were doing that for the past year, right? It was just like one marketplace found a way to not do it, and there was just another option. But like if Magic Eden never turned off royalties, there was no way to like buy Magic Eden listing without royalties. And so in my sense, like from a business case, as well as like aligning with our community of amazing project owners and artists, we're just not going to give them the option to not turn off royalties, right? It's just like if you're buying a night market listing, you're paying royalties, right? And that might give us some heat, that might give us some flack, but in the long term, like I don't want to compromise on that, especially during our go-to-market phase, and have project owners say like you weren't in our corner, because that's the whole point of night market, right? Is to uplift creators, collectors, traders, everyone. And so our transaction fee is going to be 2%. Simply because we haven't seen a lot of price resistance for transaction fees or royalties when a marketplace is hot. It's all about liquidity, right? And so it's not necessarily like, we'll adjust, and the DAO may vote to maybe have one day like have it be 0%. Maybe night market becomes more just like a lost leader for all the other products we build out. That's definitely a future that I could see happening. But for now, we'll start with 2%. 100% goes to the DAO treasury. Royalties 100% go to the creators. And share affiliate links with the content creators and people who help push us out.
Yeah. Okay. So that I have. Okay, that brings up questions for me. So in terms of, I'm all about creator royalties for the most part. I mean, there are definitely some as a trader. There's definitely projects where I'm like, I know this will go up, but I don't want any money going to the team, right? Like I'll buy it on secondary, and I'm like, this is the crap project. So there's always that. It's such a it's that hot topic where it's like the Web3 ethos is you should have choice and freedom and all that good stuff to turn on royalties. Well, we've seen what happens is a lot of people don't support sound projects, and a lot of people just choose not to opt into royalties, where there are projects that deserve it, and then there's some that don't. So it's so hard to do that when we're all staring at a computer screen and deciding who deserves it, who doesn't. That's fine for me. I actually love that there's a marketplace, and I think a lot of projects will be like, yes, if they're enforcing royalties, let's go over there. We're going to push our users over there, and I think we'll incentivize people to do so. They'll help you on the incentivization part too. They'll probably be like, hey, if you buy on night market, like we'll go ahead and add in XYZ or enable these features or something like that. So I think it could actually be a really good help as far as another force pushing liquidity over there. But
if this was just a Web2 business, I would say, royalties, like, forget the creators, right? We'll just do what we want. But like, it's not. This is really meant to be a community-owned marketplace where, we need to, if all the project owners who don't make royalties just leave, our ecosystem it's non-negotiable that our ecosystem gets worse, right? And so you have to, whether it's royalties or whether it's something else, we have to figure out better ways to empower our creators. And, as of right now, the best solution we have is to honor royalties. And so rather than punishing bad behavior, our approach is to reward good behavior, right? So if you're using night market, not only are you, embracing open source, decentralized marketplace commerce, but you're also actually supporting creators and you get rewards for that. And we think that those rewards, especially over long term, not financial advice, but would be, quite significant in pushing forward the ecosystem as well as, for anyone's bags.
So it's interesting because I know a lot of people are against like a 2% marketplace fee. So I'm definitely interested on seeing how this will play out with new mints and referral links. Because when you have the referral link, you'll be able to get a portion of that back. So it's definitely less than 2% initially. So I wonder how like new mints and discords will react with posting of referral links, because it's in people's incentive to use a referral link. So not only do they get some kickback, but also the buyer/seller. So I'm definitely that's one of the things I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, right? There's going to be a lot of ideation. Could very well say that, some of the things I've said over the last 30 minutes might be different next month, right? Like there's a lot to change. But I think we're open to that challenge. And obviously it's going to take a lot of like poking and experimentation to see what works. But I think we have the right team to do it.
Yeah. Brian, real quick, as far as the marketplace fees go, are they going to be assessed to the buyer, the seller? Is it going to be split in half? And how's that distribution going to work?
Yeah, I think we're going to do it how it's been done. Just I believe those are seller fees, right? Yeah, so it's not going to be like any sort of like buyer fee as of right now. But we are experimenting. Like it's interesting to see kind of how Magic Eden does it with like, give the buyer the option to pay like royalties or like buy into that. I think like long term, I actually, my opinion is you kind of see this huge difference in like the immutable collections and the mutable collections who may be able to like change different parts or like offer more benefits for people who are paying royalties, because royalties almost could be construed as kind of like a membership fee versus like traders don't really care about that. They're entering and exiting positions through AMM super quickly. But yeah, as of right now, like, want to go with what works, what we know works. And then the DAO will vote on it, right? Like I think having an NFT stewarding body as like kind of a sub DAO of like blue chip leaders, different projects who kind of like really care about the ecosystem, having them help steward the community into what they feel is best, along with like massive traders, have them kind of like come to an agreement. That is maybe where we could help facilitate the discussion through MotleyDAO. But I'm a firm believer that it's like not up to the marketplace to enforce their will on creators or traders, right? That's like literally what the future, that's the past that we're trying to get away from. And so it'd be super hypocritical for me to be like, hey, I'm not enforcing royalties and that's night market now. Like that's, at some point, like no decisions will be up to me, right? That's the beauty of this. Like the community is going to take it on.
The fact that you are, like as Bison mentioned earlier as well, it's like the fact that you are enforcing creator royalties, I can definitely see a push for creators to go directly to your marketplace instead of Magic Eden. So that's another reason why I'm even more bullish than I was before at the beginning of this conversation, because the biggest problem that a lot of these marketplaces had in the past was getting sufficient amount of liquidity there. Nobody goes to Magic Eden because they like using it. They go to Magic Eden because of the ability to quickly sell and buy an NFT for the lowest price possible. So if you're able to have increased liquidity on your platform, I don't see why people wouldn't make the shift. There's not some huge loyal following to Magic Eden who wouldn't want to use something else.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all really plays out, because we'll get to see. That's a big test of like, are the people who believe in royalties going to actually vote with their wallets, or is it is kind of like 0% royalty? You kind of hear like what Frank said. I think he said like the effective royalty percentage that he's making is more like 1 to 10%. It's like they're getting the DeGods are getting a fraction of what they should be making on their royalties. And so we'll have to see what happens when you actually throw a token and rewards into the mix and kind of get this community like snowball going.
Yeah, one of the things I'm thinking of, and I've said it too, I think one of Magic Eden's dirty tricks that they did when they introduced marketplace fees back into the ecosystem, or their ecosystem, I should say, is they snuck in that 0.5% maker fee. So it is, we talked about it pretty extensively. It's now 0.2 because I'm level 4 and because I spent so much soul there and la-di-da, but if I don't keep up that spend, then it goes back to 0.5. But it's the 1.5% that's assessed to buyers. And why I think that is so I hate it, but it is so smart on their part, is because buyers will go to where liquidity is, right? So if you put less of the fee structure on sellers, the listings, what actually funds, like, you don't have listings, you don't have anything really as a marketplace, right? It's why they put less of a burden on sellers than buyers. And I think that may be something that we, like, as somebody who just bought 10 Motley DAO, and I plan on being a part of this marketplace, we have to like explore, is like, maybe we look at a similar fee structure, at least, to start. Maybe we have a promotion to help liquidity or something like that, because like I said, buyers will buy in because they want that NFT, right? And they don't really care. Like, they're like, that 1.5% fee is stupid and I hate it, but whatever. They're not going to go list on Hyperspace because there's a 1% marketplace fee to list, where you could have way more liquidity on Magic Eden, and it's only 0.2 or 0.5%. I guess it is a maker fee, so don't like delist it and then relist it. But it's just all thinking about the decision structure and architecture that you have there. And it's going to be really curious to see how you guys find that balance, or we find that balance, because this is kind of decentralized and open source. But at first, it's going to be up on you guys, right? It will be on you guys. You guys are going to make the agile decision. So that would be my feedback if I were just, trying to think of this in like behavioral economics and choice architecture, is there will be people that you're really going to want to siphon their liquidity. And once you got them, it's hook, line, sinker, you're done. You're now the number one marketplace. Congratulations. Right?
Yeah, that would be you make it sound so easy. That would be a really fun scenario for the community to kind of make that happen. But yeah, I mean, we're gonna have AMM trading on there too. And so we're gonna have to, see how, like, some Metaplex is now like rolling out these enforced royalty contracts, where like SMB and like Claynosaurs and a bunch of different different projects are going on to that. That's gonna change things too for AMMs as well. It's like I think people don't really see like how interesting, how wild it's gonna get on Solana. Like we're just seeing the beginning of all this, and there's gonna be a lot of opinions for sure on how that all happens.
Right. There will be. Marketplace wars are, always going to be a thing, but they shouldn't have to be wars, right? Like it's your approach, right? It's the collaborative approach that I think will ultimately win out. It just has to be done right. So I'm so excited to see how Night Market, kind of your first proof of work, comes out from MotleyDAO, and then how MotleyDAO spins that into, tens of hundreds, thousands of products that really bolster Solana. The last thing I want to ask about Night Market, I know I read this, it's going to be chain agnostic, right? Like eventually you guys do want to scale out into other chains. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't, the future is for sure multi-chain, right? Like with amazing protocols and technology like Layer 0 and Wormhole, it's just getting better and better. And then you see like Layer 2 solutions and like, the modular blockchains like Celestia. I do think that's a reality that we realize at some point, but I don't think that that's our focus right now. Like, we're very, very bought into Solana, and we think that there's massive room to grow here. And so, we're not necessarily interested right now to go into like a Polygon or any of those other blockchains, because like we think that there's a massive pie to grow here on Solana first. And then once you become a market leader here, there's many other opportunities to kind of flow. But obviously Solana is home for us.
Yeah, critical mass here first, then reach out to other chains. And I think, again, I don't care for Magic Eden anymore. Championed them for a little bit because they were better than like SolSea and Solana Art and stuff. But nonetheless, like, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain, right? And I think that's kind of where we're at the apex of their story. But no, I think you're right. I think that is the right approach. I think growing to critical mass, becoming the number one marketplace on Solana, then branching out from there, rather than trying to spread your resources too thin, becoming multi-chain too quick, is almost always the way to go, in my opinion. So I definitely agree there. Let's wrap the show up. We are over our time here, but I want to kind of give it over to you, Ryan. Closing statements. Why should people be minting, and why should people be excited for MotleyDAO?
Yeah, thanks again for having me, guys. Again, my name is Ryan, the founder of MotleyDAO and Night Market, and I think that you guys should really just be paying attention if you care about Web3 on Solana and kind of the values that we're all here for, right? Open source, decentralization, community ownership. We're trying to bring that all to Solana in one coordinated DAO with some of the best partners, resources, technology in the ecosystem. If you care about NFTs, you're going to want to trade on Night Market. It's going to be the first like community-owned tokenized marketplace on Solana. And if you just really like JPEGs and kind of want to degen in, not financial advice, you should do your own research, but we do have our own pre-sale right now on the MotleyDAO Twitter account. And so, pre-sale is available to anyone and everyone right now. And so you can check out our link on Helio. And yeah, I'm just really excited for the future of what, decentralized organizations on Solana look like. And yeah, if you're interested in plugging in any way, please get in contact with us through our Discord, through our Twitter. And yeah, appreciate everyone taking almost an hour and a half of their day to listen in. Super stoked.
Yeah, no, seriously, we appreciate your time,
Yeah,
Ryan.
dog.
You were great in answering all the questions, and your responses were excellent. So I really do appreciate your time. It's been fantastic. Dorian, Joe, I want to open up the floor to you guys real quick in case you have any like exit questions before we head out and wrap the show up. Joe, I know it's always hard for Joe to get into these conversations because he doesn't have his camera on, so he can't just be like, yeah, let me in, right? We have to wait for something. But Joe, I want to give you one last shot to ask anything or wrap it up.
So one good thing about my position in this triage here is that I'm the less articulate one of both you guys. So you guys are able to ask the questions I needed subconsciously. So thank you for that. So my one big point out is, and not even a question, just something as a listener, I sat here and really consumed everything you just said, Ryan, and you were beautifully executed in every response. I think the one big takeaway I took away from what you said was your ability to delegate tasks. You're not sitting there saying, I'm a master of all these trades, I'm smarter than you, you go, you know what, if someone has it better and can do it more streamlined, then I can delegate this. I have much more power in this lane or whatnot. So you're able to delegate tasks is really something that I look at as a nuance as a founder, creator, or marketer. So I really love that aspect of it, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Joe.
I definitely agree with that. Guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up. I don't want to waste any more of Ryan's time, but it has been so much fun. I can literally sit here for another hour and a half if I really wanted to and just continue talking about what you guys are building with MotleyDAO and everything. But we appreciate your time. Guys, if you are new to the channel, please hit that little subscribe button down below. We just started our RareFUD channel not too long ago, and it is now at over 100 subscribers. We're aiming for 1,000 and then 10,000, grow to critical mass, just like Ryan is over here with MotleyDAO. It helps tremendously grow the channel. So please know we do stream every Tuesday, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of our episodes are uploaded to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if that is better for your listening pleasure, go ahead. We know that people have to work and can catch up on the latest news. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Ryan, for your time. Joe, Dorian, appreciate you guys as always.
Appreciate you, dog.
You guys have a great rest of your day. And thank you for tuning in to RareFUD Radio.